We've been working with clients for a few years now, and I have seen a clear pattern when we need to fix things, and it's usually in three main areas of their business: their offers, their audience, or their architecture. And in this video, I just wanted to share with you how to spot if one of these three elements is misaligned and how potentially to fix it. Let's talk about your offer. Now, I wanted to ask you, because I've seen it everywhere. People come out with these incredible offers, but then they're afraid to sell it. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt that way?
I have. Like the amount of times that I've actually written down an offer and never sent the emails, I've done that.
You know when it feels like your body is almost stopping you from trying to sell this offer, and then it might be for various reasons. Like maybe you are not charging enough, maybe you are charging too much, and your nervous system is not ready for that. Maybe you are over delivering, and you know that as soon as you put it out there, you've got to deliver, and it feels like you're gonna hit burnout very quickly. There are so many elements that need to be aligned for your offer to feel good in your bones.
I still remember when we created one of my programs. Like I was so into this, and especially I think of what we did wrong in there. It wasn't just the format of it, but it was also the way we created it. There was a time where we thought that we had to create a specific offer based on only what people needed and wanted. And therefore, I kind of put myself in a second place. I remember when we created Waitlist. Waitlist was obviously still is a freaking great program that I put together. It has all the recipes, and we have beautiful meals, the workouts, the path that they had to follow. But especially, it had the constant support from me, right? So the support was one-off program put together, and then support forever for
So you
one
just
set
pay
price.
once,
You pay
and
once, and
we're
then
gonna
that was it.
support you every month live.
Yeah, it was every month? It was every month live. But what was missing in there was my drive. It was the way I created that offer. Because I thought everyone wants to lose weight, everyone wants to do it in a specific way. Why don't I just offer something exactly the same? So when I created that offer, not only I didn't really think about what I wanted to do, but I only thought about a specific niche, what everyone else was doing, and I had to do it in the way everyone else did it because it worked. And especially, I had a model that was not working, because if you pay once and then you give support for the rest of time, not only you get a little bit overwhelmed in the way you have to deliver it, but also you put a bit of a little bit of a push to these people at the beginning, because they have to finish while you're there, and then they never showed up again. That was one of the biggest flop I've ever did, not only for my people, but also for myself.
I think it was the right end result that we were after, but the offer itself was wrong for both us and your customers. Because, for example, it's a great deal. You pay once and you get support forever. But psychologically, it feels wrong when you paid only once and you kind of feel like you have to show up every month,
But
and
not
kind
really.
of feel like you don't want to ask for questions because you're not paying anymore, and you feel like you have to be there. It's awkward. You think you are over delivering and it's a great deal, but you're doing a disservice to people, and that has to change. And that's why we changed it. We simplified it. We removed the support, we reduced the cost, and now it's a self-standing program, which feels much lighter, and you're more excited to sell it. So this is one way you can rebalance things. I'm not saying just reduce price. I'm just saying align the elements to feel good in your body as well.
One of our clients had this incredible program. It was a 4-month program that I absolutely adored, and I wanted to be
Like
in
a
it.
cohort?
Like a cohort. But it was so cool that I said, I want to be part of it. So I became our client, which was our client. And it's great, right? Because if you are passionate about your client stuff, you want to be in it, it's a great plus. But what I found in that specific program was that she was there twice a week for 4 months, delivering the program as well as delivering support. And I felt on the student side of it, there was so much pressure to having to finish, to having to complete the exercises, to complete the challenges that she was giving. One, because I didn't want to let her down, but also I felt that there was so much in so little time that I started freaking out that I was behind. I was not at the pace where I needed to be. The amount of stress that started was way higher than actually producing something good for what I signed up for. So while working with her, I said, I feel this kind of anxiety on having to finish, because in 4 months time, I need to finish, because otherwise I'm not going to have access to your program anymore, or I'm not going to have access to you anymore. And if I have any questions later on in my own time, I don't know who to ask, and I don't have a program anymore. And I still want to finish and continue with the program and the process that I want to do. So why I said, are you denying me to the fact of wanting to have more access to you for a long term? I don't mind paying for a longer time or for a longer period of time, as long as you retain, like you give me actually access to the program and to you every now and then. I don't need to see you every week. I don't need to see you twice a week. So why don't you create something for people to continue this journey and to have the possibility to progress with you as you go along? So think about your offer as, can I support my people at the beginning, but then continue something later on? Or is it too cheap and they can actually get along but in their own time? Or what is like, if I want to have closer access to you, how can I be closer to you? I'm more than happy to pay more money and for a longer period of time. How can I be closer to you in this sense? So think of your offer as something that can continue, can give support, it can be closer to you or a little bit more detached. When you finish this cohort, you have to start all over again. Yes, you make a chunk of money at that time, but what after? You're going to have the stress of having to relaunch, to having to continue to having to convince people, and then you create the content.
This is why she didn't launch it the year before, because there was so much stress on her side. But she didn't know that she could run in a different way. This is the thing. Do you believe that you need to hold hands of your clients because otherwise they couldn't figure it out? This was one of the limitations that we also had. And if you structure your offer based on you having to babysit your clients all the time, it feels heavy and you don't want to sell it and you want to price it very high and you want to make it finish as soon as possible. So don't put all of that weight on your shoulders, because the right people don't need all of that support, but they're also willing to stay with you for longer. So give them the opportunity to do so with a better offer that makes more sense monetarily and also in terms of how you deliver it. But if your audience feels good, you're actually excited about delivering, you feel like the pricing is right, the way it's structured makes sense for you and your clients, maybe that's not it. Maybe that's something else. If you're not getting consistent sales, it might also be because of your audience. When I speak about audience, I don't necessarily speak about that the audience is wrong, that the market is wrong, or anything like that. It's mainly to do with your messaging. We all know that we have to be consistent on social media. We have to be everywhere because we need to be visible. And we fell into that trap many times over the years. We had a blog, we had an email list, we had a
YouTube channel,
an Instagram account, a Pinterest account, a Facebook page, TikTok. And how in the world are you going to be energetically attractive to the right people if you are constantly drained to create more content? But not just that. In the search for views, watch time, and subscribers, you can fall into having to create content for the algorithm, which at some point will get you lost. We got lost into, okay, what is going to make us more views this month? Okay, this is the trend. This is how we're going to structure the title and the videos and all this. And that absolutely works if you want views and watch time. But if you want clients, that's a completely different story. So when you think about your content, I don't believe it's about volume. I don't believe it's about how fancy your reels look or how long you spend crafting them, how make them beautiful. The real key is resonance, especially if you have a higher touch type of offer. Like, for example, if you're into coaching or high ticket of any kind, the people that you're talking to don't need a funnel. They don't need a lead magnet. They don't need a 5-day challenge. They need to know that you understand them and you have a solution for the problem that they're having today. And sometimes content specific for this type of people may not be, it will never go viral because there are not so many people that are interested on that. But the beauty of understanding your clients and using a messaging that is resonance for a specific type of people makes all of the difference. For example, the work that we did with one of our clients was specific to this. She wrote a book, she had a podcast, she had so many podcast listeners every month. But she were talking to the masses. She were doing more content around motivation, which we all need, of course. But her offer was tailored for people that already had the motivation and wanted the next step. They wanted to move forward with the side project I had in mind for a long time. We realized that the main core of the content that she was producing was not for these people. And she were not in the equation. Her story was lacking. Like, we did a few tweaks, and just by doing that, the intention behind who you are talking to changes, your energy changes, because you are leveling up. You feel like you don't have to speak with your younger self that is 10 years old younger self. You are speaking to somebody that's much closer to you, maybe. And then the language changes, the way you invite people changes. If you consider your people, your audience, intelligent enough to realize that, yes, they need to click on the button if they want the information that you promise, you don't have to sugarcoat everything. And now I'm talking in general, but I'm trying to make you understand that messaging is key to become resonant to the right people. Because if you have a product that doesn't match with the audience that you're attracting, you're not going to sell it.
There is something very interesting that happened lately in the Ladies and Tips realm, and the way I started to recreating content, because I felt that everything that I created before was only for my people, only for the 10 years before person that I was creating it for. When I turned 40, something changed, something shifted quite a bit of time, a few months ago.
You became more beautiful.
Thank you. He's in love. And so am I. Something changed and shifted in me. And the very first thing that I did, I said, I want to create content that it is for me. I want to write for things that I'm interested in. I want to share what I like, not only what people want to hear or what they need to hear in order for them to actually do something. And what I understood was I need to be the example of, not just the example, but I want to be that person. I want to create content for me first, because people will be attracted to the person that I am today. I'm not the same person as I was 10 years ago. So there is no point of me myself, forcing to create content that doesn't resonate with me anymore. My interests back then are not the same as they are now. So what I understood was, if I create content that resonates with me, I will attract more people like me. And guess what? Tip of the pro. You're not only going to create content that is useful for them, but you are going to enjoy it, and the energy that you put out is going to be 100 times more interesting than ever. So you create content for you that will attract and pivot and change with the people that are around you. I'm sure you're not friends with everyone that you knew back in elementary school or that you were at high school, because things and paths have changed. Why would you start writing or creating content for the people that you are not in the circle with anymore? So start creating content for you, for yourself, for who you are now, for what you like. Talk about your life, pivot and change the business in the way that you want to change and you are today. And the people and the circle of people that are going to be around you, they will change accordingly. They will change automatically, because if you change and you grow and you pivot, these people will as well.
And the more you offer will make sense for these people. So we give you permission to change and grow.
But of course, it's not all about the happy, joy things that we put out. Of course, if we are creating content and we are creating courses or memberships or programs that will help our people out, also there has to be something very specific and a structure.
A proper architecture, which is the third point that we want to talk to you about.
I'm very good at creating and becoming like crazy and having ideas, but he's always been my architecture and making sense
Architect.
Architect. So it's always been my architect into putting things in the right place and extrapolating what is in my mind and giving it structure.
If you only create content that is resonance, and there's nothing wrong with that, that's actually a great thing to do. But if you don't have an architecture on the back end to allow people to find your offer, to know how to get into your email list, to know what you sell and how to get in contact with you, you are increasing friction from the right people to work with you. So this means that if you don't have the right call to action, if you don't understand what happens when people DM you, if you don't know what happens when people join your email list, how they will then find out about your offer, if there is a misconnection there is a disconnect, you're not going to sell, because people will be confused. You will be confused too. You don't know what to offer, when, because you haven't thought about your architecture. This was one of the first things that allowed Lazy Dancer Tips, as well as everything else we've done up until the point, to keep everything incredibly simple. Like, we use the same lead magnet for years, which was a workout plan. It was really in line with the audience of Lazy Dancer Tips.
And it was a PDF.
It was just a PDF. It was always that one thing. So we had a flood of traffic on one single page of our website, and that was our lead generation asset. But from that point on, Alessia wrote a brilliant sequence of emails to nurture them along the way. And because you love writing, you knew that was the way. So once they found you on social media, on YouTube, you knew that you wanted to be more intimate with them. So you wrote a sequence of emails based on what you felt right for their journey. And then you kept on going, talking to them every single week. And we received messages from our email list saying, Alessia, I know that these emails are for subscribers, but they feel like you are writing to me. And we received one the other day that said, in this email, you called me adult ballerina, and you almost made me cry because you are allowing me to be one for the first time in my life. Thank you so much for it.
You didn't tell me.
I didn't tell you, but I'm going to show you afterwards. This is why people then get to know your offers, because with your content, with your emails, you always mention how to get in contact with you, how they can work with you. And if that's properly designed, you don't have to think about it all the time. As long as you are clear on how a view from social media can become a paying client, that's your architecture. If you want to find out exactly which of these 3 elements of your business may or may not be misaligned, we've got a quiz for you with 7 questions, I believe, that will identify the main element for you to have a look at. We also give you some tips, practical tips on how to fix it, more than what we spoke about here, so that you can self-evaluate and tweak accordingly. The link is in the description box below.
It's fun. I did it.
Of course you did it.
Of course.
We built it. If anything that we said so far resonated with you and you want to know more about the whole model that we use throughout all of our businesses, we have a video that explains the 3 main pillars of our model, and it's right here for you.